Hello ladies and gentlemen, Reginald Scott here with another cycling quick tips video. Today's quick tips are all about water bottles. So what I tend to do is buy a variety of water bottles. Now I have duplicates of some of these bottles. I have a couple of 550s and I have a couple of 700s, and this one over here is 1 litre, and this one's I think a 5 or a 450, something like that, a little bit smaller than this one. Now the first tip I would say is when you come to buying your water bottles, I prefer the water bottles that have the larger openings. This one is the smallest opening I have, as you can see, and this one here has a much bigger lid and therefore has a much wider opening, and that's useful because, as you can see, I've got a padlock and chain in there, so I'm using this one as a mobile toolkit or a storage area to put other things other than water. You can get all sorts of stuff that fit inside water bottles. You can get bicycle repair kits, you can put spare inner tubes in there, you can put a first aid kit in there, you can put your valuable items in there so they don't get wet when you're out riding. So always go, or try to go, for the ones with the widest mouths on them, the biggest openings, so that way you can put chunks of ice in your bottles and all sorts of stuff really. You're not limited to what you can get inside the bottle. And the second tip I would give you when selecting bottles is, if you're going to buy a variety of bottles, and I would recommend that, you buy them in different sizes. So your first bottle, you start off with a small one, maybe like this 550, and then instead of buying another 550 after that, when you've saved up your money or you decide to buy another bottle to go further, get a bigger one, get a 700 like this, and then after the 700 maybe move up to this one which is 1000. You can also get 800s or 900s. You get a huge variety of different sizes, but try and go up in size, because that means you're more versatile. That means that instead of just having two 550s, you've actually now got a 550 and a 700. So someone who's bought two 550s, they're limited to the range that they can do for how much liquid they can carry. You can carry much more. If you don't want to carry so much, you don't have to carry the 700, you can just carry the 550. See what I mean? You're more flexible in the distances you can go and how much liquid you can carry. And the final tip I would say is, you don't need to always carry both bottles, and you don't need to always fill them. I notice a lot of guys I go on training rides with, even though we're going for a very short training ride, they're hardly going to drink. Maybe the most they'll consume is 300 to 400 milliliters of liquid during that ride. It's just, a few kilometers. They still end up taking both their bottles and they fill them both to the brim, which means they're carrying way more weight than they actually need to be carrying. Now maybe it's a training aid, maybe they're doing it to slow themselves down or make their life harder so that they can build up muscle, could be the reason. But I think it's just that they feel like they have to use both bottles. You don't have to fill both bottles. Save yourself some weight. Leave one of the bottles at home if you don't need it. If you need it, take it with you. And that's why I like a variety, because that way I can choose. And the good thing about having a variety of bottles as well, when you've got a really big one like this 1000 here, that means I can take a whole litre of liquid and something else in the other bottle cage, like my padlock. So thank you for watching, and I hope that was helpful. Stay safe.